I'm not sure if this matters or not, but days prior to Emma's death, there was somebody dressed in all black, like messing around her house.
And how did you respond to that?
I thought that was very odd.
But I'm trusting you guys, like, with my life, because I mean, this is 7 years in jail if I get convicted of something I didn't do.
한 대학 미식 축구 선수가 16세 고등학교 치어리더였던 전 여자친구를 살해한 혐의로 재판을 받게 되었습니다. 그런데 이 재판에선 용의자의 절친이라고 믿었던 친구가 직접 녹화한 영상이 공개되면서 큰 파장을 몰고 왔습니다. 여기선 그의 거짓말이 모두 드러나게 되었죠. 그럼 오늘 이 재판 과정을 충격적인 증거와 함께 자세히 살펴보도록 하죠. 안녕하세요. 저는 쇼킹TV 톰순입니다. (2018년 5월) 이 재판에 피고로 서게 된 19세의 윌리엄 라일리 골은 여자친구를 살해한 1급 계획적 살인, 스토킹, 1급 중범죄 살인, 증거인멸, 중범죄 시 총기 사용 혐의, 공공위험 혐의, $500 이상의 절도 혐의로 기소된 상태였습니다. 검찰은 대학 미식 축구 선수였던 라일리가 2016년 11월 21일 당시 16살이었던 고등학교 치어리더인 엠마 워커를 살해하였다고 주장하고 있습니다. 그리고 당시에 2년 동안 이어져오던 이 둘의 연애는 엠마의 부모님인 질과 마크가 크게 반대하고 있는 상황에서 일어난 것으로 보고 있었습니다. 하지만 엠마는 부모님의 말을 전혀 들을 생각을 하지 않았고 결국 부모님은 외출 금지를 시켜서 약 한 달 동안 집과 학교를 제외한 어디도 갈 수 없도록 했습니다. 그 과정에서 엠마는 결국 부모님의 말을 듣고 라일리에게 헤어지자는 통보를 하였고 그 통보는 그녀가 라일리에게 살해되기 2주 전이었습니다. 그리고 여기서 검찰의 주장은 이랬습니다. 라일리는 새벽 3시경에 엠마의 집 뒷마당으로 잠입하여 엠마의 침실을 향해 2발을 발사한 뒤 자신이 머물고 있던 대학교 기숙사로 돌아가서 잠들었다고 말이죠. 이 과정에서 발사된 총알 중 하나가 벽을 뚫고 지나가서 잠들어 있던 엠마의 머리를 관통하였고 부검 전문의에 따르면 즉사했을 것이라 예상했습니다. 처음에 라일리는 이 모든 혐의에 대해 부인했지만 재판이 시작되자 총을 쏜 것은 인정했습니다. 다만 계획적인 살인은 아니었다고 말이죠. 그리고 이 상황에서 피고 측 변호사는 검찰과는 매우 다르고 독특한 해석을 내어놓았습니다. 그래서 이 재판은 동일한 사건 하나를 놓고 두 가지 해석이 있는 보는 사람 입장에선 꽤 생각해야 할 부분이 많은 재판이 되었습니다. 그럼 먼저 검찰 측 버전의 사건 이야기를 들어보도록 하죠.
She was 16 years old when she died. She was a student at Central High School. Some are going to say one of the more popular kids in school. If not the most popular girl in school, she was a cheerleader, an A student, somebody very gregarious. But Emma Walker was strong-willed too. She was a girl who had an opinion, and when it came to her boyfriend, who she met in high school, this man, Riley Gall, she engaged in conflict with her parents. Of 2016, they started putting sanctions on Emma, requiring her to be eventually grounding on October 30th when they find, when the police call them and say, hey, your 16-year-old daughter's in a car with a 18-year-old male here, can you come pick her up? It's after midnight. And they have to go, that's it. Emma, you're grounded. But all those things culminate from the beginning of November until about November 13th, when Emma finally starts getting it and finally starts saying, okay, I'm done. We can't be together anymore. And he's saying things like, well, I'm going to kill myself. And he does try. Efforts to control, to manipulate, and to possess her, they start ramping up. And in that week before she dies, from November 13th, November 14th, is when he tells her he's going to take his life, trying to get that attention from her, trying to seek that from her, and she keeps him at bay. Up until Friday the 18th, On that Friday, the 18th, Emma had been grounded at this point from October 30th to November 18th. It's the first time and Jill's gonna tell you things were starting to get better. She's coming out in the living room and talking to us. She's watching TV with us. She's being part of the family. Jill is gonna tell you things that she's seeing a change in her daughter, that she really thinks she is pushing him away. Emma describes it to her friends as, I can't rip it off like a Band-Aid immediately. I can't break up with a cold like that. I'm gonna do it over time. And that she begins that in November, but by November 13th is when she's really putting the pressure that she wants to end this relationship with him, and he can't take it. We associate the word home with safety. We associate home with a place we are safe and free from intrusion, from the government, from other people, and we're able to do private things. And our home, in this particular case, is 6802 Carderdale Drive, the home of Emma Walker. On November 21, 2016, in the safety and sanctity of her home, she was shot and killed by a gunshot wound to the back of her head, right behind her left ear, when this man crept into her backyard at 3 o'clock in the morning in a cover of darkness, dressed in all black from head to toe, black jacket, black hoodie, black sweatpants, black gloves, gun, black shoes, taped shoes, and discharged a firearm into her house not once but twice, both with a trajectory intended and designed to kill Emma Walker. And so when you think about that sanctity of home, Mark Walker, her father, who slept on the other side of the house, and Jill Walker will never sleep so safely again.
라일리가 이런 방식으로 살인을 저지른 이유를 주목할 필요가 있다고 말하는 검찰의 주장을 조금 더 자세히 알아보겠습니다. 엠마는 라일리 때문에 매우 괴로워했고 그를 차단했으며 더 이상 자신의 인생에서 함께하고 싶어하지 않았다고 말했습니다. 하지만 라일리는 포너라는 앱을 이용해서 엠마에게 익명의 문자 메시지를 보냈었습니다. 네 친구가 납치되어 지금은 어떤 집 앞에 벌어져 있으니까 데리러 와. 누가 보낸 건지 알 수 없었던 엠마는 일단 문자에 적힌 주소로 찾아갔더니 그곳엔 납치된 친구 대신 라일리가 기다리고 있었죠. 이것은 피고 측 변호인단도 인정한 사실이었습니다. 어떻게든 엠마를 만나기 위한 속임수였죠. 라일리는 이러한 거짓된 위험을 계속해서 보여주며 자신이 없으면 안 된다는 생각이 들도록 만들려 했습니다. 또 다른 예를 들자면 이웃들이 검은 옷을 입은 남자가 엠마의 동네를 돌아다니는 것을 보고 경찰에 신고한 적도 있었습니다. CCTV에도 찍혀 있었죠. 며칠 동안 신혼 이상의 남성이 동네를 돌아다니는 것이 엠마에겐 큰 위협으로 다가왔고 결국 라일리에게 다시 문자를 했습니다. 이러이러한 남자가 돌아다녀서 무섭다고 말이죠. 물론 재판이 열리는 당일까지도 라일리는 그건 자신이 아니라고 주장했습니다만 검찰은 확실히 그가 맞다고 보고 있었습니다. 어쨌든 라일리는 엠마가 무섭다고 하는 문자를 받자마자 걱정할 필요가 없고 자신이 지켜주겠다는 답장을 보냈습니다. 그리고 이 답장을 보낸 지 며칠도 채 지나지 않았을 때 라일리는 엠마를 총으로 살해하였죠. 이렇게 확실한 물적 증거와 정황상 증거가 있는 상황에서 피고 측 변호인단은 꽤 독특한 변론을 시작했습니다. 먼저 엠마를 되찾으려고 하는 그런 미친 행동들을 한 건 사실이라고 인정했습니다. 그리고 엠마의 집에 총을 쏴서 그녀의 목숨을 뺏은 것도 맞다고 인정하였죠. 하지만 라일리가 살인자는 아니라고 했습니다. 이게 무슨 말인지 변호사의 말을 들어보죠.
And so everything that Mr. Allen has just told you is what he believes is his theory of the case and what he thinks the evidence is going to show. Now, there is no doubt that you will hear some of the most bizarre, reckless conduct of my client. You will hear it. That's what you will hear throughout the context of this trial. But the way this is going to work is, the state makes their opening statements, we make our opening statements. They have the burden of proof, so they have to do that part first. Then they start calling witnesses. We examine those witnesses. In my cross-examination, we may introduce some exhibits to their witnesses, and then they call another witness, and we go through that process. And you're not to make a decision until after you heard all of the evidence. This relationship was a tumultuous relationship. I think somebody described it as a pretty crazy relationship. But I think what the evidence will show you is that this was a very on and off relationship, and Mr. Allen's correct. These two individuals would say they're blocking each other, not block each other, talk, block. And there are, I didn't know how much information can be on a cell phone until this case. The numbers of text messages, the numbers of calls, the numbers of images is enormous. And what does she do? The evidence will show that what she did was she reached out to Riley. And what she said was, I hate you, but I need you. And Riley says, I'm on my way. Riley says, I'm on my way. What she did not do was she did not reach out to Mark Walker, her father. She did not reach out to Jill Walker, her mother. She did not reach out to law enforcement. And by the way, nobody reached out to law enforcement regarding the November 18th events that night. As to the homicide counts, the case will come down to state of mind. And what the judge will tell you at the conclusion of this case is there are 4 different states of mind in Tennessee. Intentional, they give you the definition. Knowing, they give you the definition. Reckless, and they'll give you the definition. And negligent. But as you listen to the evidence in this case, know this. As it relates to the first degree premeditated killing count, it requires an intent to kill. And some of us who are familiar with handguns may very well know that by shooting into a wall blindly, it will go through the wall. Some of us may not. Intentionally doing an act and intending to kill are 2 entirely different things. And I think throughout this trial, that distinction will become apparent.
피고 측 주장을 한마디로 정리하자면 이렇습니다. 둘 사이의 관계는 검찰이 주장하는 것처럼 라일리의 일방적인 집착이 아니었으며 의도적인 살인도 아니라는 것입니다. 집 밖에서 벽을 향해서 단 2발만 쐈는데 하필이면 한 발이 엠마의 머리에 맞아서 사망한 것이므로 계획적으로 보기엔 힘들다는 것이죠. 만약 탄도 궤적까지 계산해서 쏠 수 있는 전문 스나이퍼라면 계획적이라고 봐도 되겠지만 일반 대학생이 그럴 능력은 없으므로 검찰의 계획적 살인 혐의 주장은 무의미하다는 것이었습니다. 그럼 이젠 증인의 증언을 들어보겠습니다. 가장 먼저 증인석에 자리한 사람은 엠마의 어머니인 질 워커였습니다. 그녀는 딸이 침실에서 죽어 있는 것을 발견했습니다.
Describe the night, if you would.
I had cooked dinner, and then she had worked on homework.
Just a normal night?
And then she found the ice cream with her dad later that night.
So what time was the last time you saw your daughter alive?
About 10:30 when I told her good night, 10 or 10:30. Whereas getting her up earlier than normal that morning.
How come?
And she wanted to wash her hair.
She liked her hair?
She liked her hair. She had lots of hair.
Yes. And so what time was the plan for her to wash her hair?
I was getting her up at 6:15.
Okay, and did you do so?
And while I went in her room,
Well, tell the members of the jury, when you went in the room at 6:15, what'd you do?
and tried to wake her up.
How so?
I touched her on her legs, tried to wake her up. And normally she wakes up pretty quickly, or will make us, or grunt or something when I wake her up. And there was no response. And so I went over to her shoulder and said, Emma, and then there was no response. So I was checking for her pulse, and there was no response. She was unresponsive.
Could you see what was wrong?
I couldn't tell what was wrong.
Okay. And what did you do next?
And I called 911.
And did you go back in the room after that initial time?
Yes.
Okay, what for?
Just to make sure there wasn't anything I could do.
Describe how you saw your daughter that morning.
She was laying on her back. Her tongue was out of her mouth. I noticed something on the bed. I thought that she was on sick or was vomit. I wasn't sure. But she looked like she was sleeping.
What were you thinking? What's wrong?
I had no idea
And what did you tell 911?
that she was just unresponsive.
엠마의 어머니인 질은 비교적 담담하게 이야기했지만 사실 당시 상황을 그려보자면 너무도 비극적이었을 것입니다. 실제로 딸이 총에 맞았다는 것조차 몰랐으니까요. 그리고 토사물처럼 보인 것도 사실 두개골 내부에서 흘러나온 피가 섞인 수액과 뇌조직이었죠. 그리고 엠마의 어머니인 질뿐만 아니라 아버지인 마크도 증인으로 나와 증언을 했었습니다. 둘은 주로 라일리와 엠마의 관계에서 있었던 문제들에 대해 이야기하였습니다. 그가 엠마를 대하는 방식이 왜 싫었는지, 여자친구의 부모로서 존중하지 않았던 점 등을 말이죠. 하지만 피고 측 반대 신문에서는 이 모든 일이 단지 라일리가 잘못해서가 아니라는 점을 배심원단에 명확히 보여주려 했습니다. 엠마도 그 관계를 지속하는데 함께했다는 점, 집에 몰래 들이는 것을 도왔던 점, 엠마가 부모님에게 라일리에 대한 정보를 솔직하게 공개하지 않았던 점 등이 있었죠. 그리고 이 다음으로 검찰은 라일리가 엠마에게 거짓된 문자를 보내서 속인 일을 배심원단 앞에서 보여주었습니다. 먼저 간단히 설명하자면 엠마는 익명의 문자로 온 문자 메시지를 하나 받았습니다. 열쇠를 갖고 혼자 차로 나와 네가 사랑하는 사람을 잡고 있어. 따르지 않으면 그 사람을 다치게 할 거야. 이때는 엠마가 친구 집에서 친구들과 어울리고 있을 때였습니다. 그래서 겁을 먹은 엠마는 친구들과 함께 차로 나갔지만 거기엔 라일리가 떡하니 서 있었습니다. 그럼 당시 함께 밖으로 나갔던 엠마의 친구 맥스 베이컨의 이야기를 들어보겠습니다.
And did you get close enough to hear what was being said?
Yes, sir.
And what was Riley Gall saying?
So when you got down there, I think they'd already been talking for a moment, and Emma was saying, "So are you telling me that you were kidnapped?" And
Okay, and what was Riley saying?
he said, "I don't know where I am, and my head hurts."
Okay. And were their voices normal or raised?
Raised, he seemed upset.
Okay. And what did Emma tell him after that?
I'm tired of stuff like this. I can't do this stuff like this anymore.
And how did he react to that?
He just got more angry and confused.
Okay. And what kinds of things was he saying back to her?
He's saying, "I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what happened."
Okay.
Emma started crying when she started walking back towards the house, and Riley turned and walked towards the Gibbs direction of Townsend Pike.
Okay. So Tazewell Pike goes out to Gibbs or down towards the city, and he walked away towards Gibbs.
Yes, sir.
And at that point, you said Emma had walked up to the house. Where did people go from there?
We went back into the, I guess, waiting room. It was a sitting area with a couch. There were two couches and a TV.
Okay, and what did you all do at that point?
She went with Haley to the bathroom because she was still crying crazy bad. And we went and sat down.
Okay, and you all, did you discuss what had happened?
We tried to keep the topics away from her. We tried to lighten the mood, try to cheer her up.
Okay. If you had to characterize how upset she was, how would you characterize that?
She was incredibly distraught. Violently so.
How long did it take her to calm down?
20 to 30 minutes or so.
And do you remember, you said that the defendant was holding his head.
Yes, sir.
Were you able to, from your vantage point, observe any injury on the defendant?
No, sir.
Did you look?
I was just saying if he was acting like he was okay. I didn't see anything.
And you just used the word acting. Did you believe he was acting or not?
I think that he was.
Okay.
He seemed fairly aware of his surroundings.
엠마의 친구 증언을 보면 라일리가 엠마를 되찾기 위해 이런 정교한 계획들을 세웠다는 생각이 듭니다. 그럼 이제 라일리가 총을 쐈다는 주제로 넘어가 보겠습니다. 여기서 가장 먼저 알아야 할 부분은 라일리가 그 총을 어떻게 구했는지였습니다. 그리고 그 부분에서 라일리의 할아버지인 제임스 워커가 나옵니다. 성이 엠마 워커와 같지만 엠마와는 전혀 상관없는 분이죠. 검찰은 그가 2003년에 9mm 글록을 구입했고 이것이 엠마를 죽이는 데 사용된 총이라고 생각되며 라일리가 할아버지로부터 이 총을 훔쳤다고 주장합니다. 그럼 실제로 제임스가 자신의 총이 없어진 것을 발견했을 시점에 대해 설명하는 부분을 들어보겠습니다.
That you do when you get in your car.
Started, reached down to sleep.
Why'd you reach under the seat?
Had it,
And what did you feel?
holster.
Was the gun in the holster?
No, sir.
And what did you think?
Problem.
And you are a carry concealed permit holder, right? You said that? When you say it was a problem, how big of a problem was it?
There was no bigger problem. Than the business
Okay.
for me.
And so what was your concern? Where was your mind?
They didn't figure out what the gun was.
Okay, and what did you suspect?
Didn't suspect anything at that second. I immediately contacted Riley.
Okay, and what did you say to Riley?
Do you know anything about my weapon?
And how did he respond?
That he did not.
제임스는 실제로 이렇게 증언했습니다. 라일리는 총을 훔쳤다는 것을 결코 인정하지 않았다고 말이죠. 그런데 이건 할아버지에게만 그랬던 것 같습니다. 라일리의 배프 중 한 명인 알렉스 메이카티의 증언을 들어보겠습니다.
What did he explain to you?
About the kidnapping,
What did he say?
that he thought people were after him and him, and that how he was kidnapped and dropped in his yard, and how he stole his gun from his grandfather.
그럼 이번에는 사실상 라일리의 가장 친한 친구였던 아이작 요스의 증언도 들어보겠습니다. 이 가짜 납치 계획뿐만 아니라 엠마 살인에서 라일리의 역할에 대해 결정적인 증언을 제공했습니다.
When Riley pulls up, do you guys abandon your search for him, right?
Yeah, at first we were shocked because we just heard that he had been kidnapped less than 10 minutes ago and he didn't know where he was at, and suddenly he pulls up in the car saying, "Oh, my head hurts, I'll explain everything when we get inside, let's just go inside, let's go inside." And we insist, "No, we can talk right here. If you're in danger, we need to go and get help, talk to the police, whoever we need to talk to make sure these people don't pursue you."
Okay, and what happens when you get inside?
Riley proceeds to tell us that he doesn't remember anything and that he was hit over the head, and he asked us to feel this knot on his head.
And so, how did you guys respond to that?
We had already known that this was a fib. We just kept pressing him. Who is it? What were they? What happened? Because obviously we're terrified for him if this man's been kidnapped. That's my best friend. I don't want any harm to come to him. So we press him until he just sticks with, "I don't remember." And at that point it was, "I don't remember," over and over and over until we dropped the issue.
Okay. So eventually it just faded away that he'd been kidnapped?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you never called the police or anything like that, right?
No, sir. We knew it wasn't a real thing.
When did you learn of Emma's passing?
The following morning,
Okay.
at around 7:30,
And did you reach out to Riley?
I did. He was the first person I contacted.
And when was it that you first saw Riley? After Emma died?
I did not see Riley after that. He had asked me to come over, but I declined.
Okay. And why did you decline?
Because I knew that he had a hand in what.
Object cause for speculation tips.
Tell us why you knew that. let me back you up a little bit. Based on your conversation that you had with Alex after Alex came to go home from the pilot, did you at one point confront Riley with whatever information you received from Alex?
Yes, sir.
And what did you confront Riley with?
That he needed to turn himself in if he was really innocent, and if he was innocent, the system would show.
Okay.
And he declined.
And what was Riley trying to get you to do?
To get rid of everything that he had, the weapon.
Okay. And how did you respond when he was wanting to get rid of the gun? What actually happened between you and Riley?
I was infuriated.
아이작의 증언에 따르면 라일리는 가장 친한 친구에게 절대로 해서는 안 된 일을 시킨 것처럼 보입니다. 살해 용기를 처리해달라고 말이죠. 하지만 이건 아이작의 말뿐이니 신빙성 있는 증거가 될 순 없을 겁니다. 그래서 경찰은 그 시점에 아이작의 증언을 듣고 이 증언이 사실인지 입증할 수 있는 녹취를 해달라고 요청했습니다. 그리고 아이작은 그 임무를 성공적으로 완수하였죠.
If I have to go to court in front of a grand jury or anything, and you have to testify, or the cops are going to talk to you again, whenever you talk to them, just be like you were too afraid to tell them that you were on acid because you thought you were going to get in trouble.
No, that's true. I've never been through that.
Yeah, and if anything about that gun, just say, I must have misunderstood or something because I really don't know what was going on. He was just, like Riley was just complaining to me about some stuff. I guess I thought I heard something about a gun. And his grandfather thinking he took it, you know. We found him just running around in the back of her yard with 2 shots discharged in her house, like through a wall. They said they found my grandfather's fingerprint on one of the bullets. But if they had actually found the fingerprint, he would be in custody. You don't just find a fingerprint in a murder scene and not take the person's fingerprint that you found. That's what the attorney said, just straight up.
How do they know? Like, is it so? Like, your grandpa would already have to be in the system. Why? What doesn't make any sense. Like, your grandpa, they would have to have. They have to have his fingerprints.
They do, because the gun he bought, he had to get fingerprints, they swabbed them. But if they would have found a gun at a crime scene for murder, and they found any evidence with anybody's DNA to it, they would talk to them first. So they obviously lied to me, trying to get something out of me because they think that I used my grandfather's gun to shoot up his house.
But I'm trusting you guys, like, with my life, because I mean, this is 70 years in jail if I get convicted of something I didn't do. And are you busy right now? Like, you guys do anything?
Not really. It was not really. Actually, we can go over later, but how much good? Not right yet.
Well, can we go to Bluffs? Because I need to, you know,
The blood.
I'm gonna throw it in the water. And they'll never find me.
I'll try to use the water with like rocks. I can't get there.
Well, yeah, we can do the beer ball in the box.
We can go on that, the smaller ledge that really looks out of the water. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm like under.
Yeah.
And if I go over with enough sports, yeah, I know it's terrifying. I know this. You guys don't have to come with me if you don't want to.
I mean, I'm not too bad. I mean,
I just need to
I see that kind of thing.
if it's in the Tennessee River, they will never find it.
여기서 라일리가 한 말을 정리해보면 이랬습니다. 일단 이 사건에서 가장 중요한 범행 흉기를 처리하고 싶어하며 구체적으로 그 총기를 어디에 버릴 것인지에 대해 논의하고 있었습니다. 그리고 친구들이 경찰 진술을 한 게 있다면 당시 마약에 취해 있었기 때문에 무슨 말을 한 건지 기억나지 않는다고 말하라며 종용했습니다. 쉽게 말하자면 증언을 번복하라는 것이었죠. 그리고 이 영상이 공개되면서 피고 측 변호사는 거대한 벽을 만난 것처럼 되었지만 라일리가 이 무기를 발사했을 수는 있지만 엠마를 죽일 의도는 없었다는 주장을 펼치려고 했습니다. 1급 계획적 살인 혐의로 기소되었기 때문에 계획성이 엿보이지 않는다면 형량이 크게 감형될 수 있으니 그 부분을 노린 것이었죠. 그리고 그 주장에 덧붙여서 엠마가 목숨을 잃는 그날까지도 그녀를 사랑하고 있었다고 했습니다. 그래서 총을 2발 정도 쏴서 겁을 먹게 만든 다음에 엠마를 되찾고 싶었다는 말이었죠. 그럼 여기서 피고 측 변호사가 녹스 카운티 보안감사의 수사관을 반대 신문하는 모습을 보겠습니다.
You also thought that Riley was in shock, correct?
Possibly, yeah.
You recall telling Mr. Merritt that you believed he was in shock when you were visiting with him on the couch?
I probably do.
You believe he was in shock?
I don't know that to be, just from past experience, from seeing other people, you know.
And I'm not talking about necessarily today, I'm talking about back on November 21st of 2016.
I believe he was in shock on.
Yeah, did he
November 1st.
appear as though he was in shock? Is that part of your description of being disconnected?
Yes.
And at that time when you're talking with him, you didn't believe he had anything to do with Emma's death?
I really didn't have nothing initially. I just wasn't thinking of that.
Right, that would be the last thing you would think,
Correct.
that Riley had anything to do with Emma's death when you were visiting with him there,
Correct.
based on your description of disconnected, being in shock, blank expression,
Correct.
and everything else you knew about Riley.
Correct.
Okay.
이 재판은 며칠 동안 계속되었고 결국 최종 변론에 이르렀습니다. 피고 측 변호사와 검찰은 증거를 요약하고 배심원단에게 라일리가 유죄인지 무죄인지 확신시키려는 마지막 시도였습니다. 그럼 먼저 검찰 측의 변론을 들어보기 전에 간단하게 다시 짚어보겠습니다. 검찰은 이 사건에서 피고도 함께 사용할 수 있는 증거가 매우 많다는 것을 인정했습니다. 대표적으로 그가 총을 처리하고 싶어 했다는 사실만 놓고 본다면 라일리가 엠마를 죽이고 싶어 했다는 것을 증명할 수도 있고 단지 그녀를 겁주기 위해 집을 향해 총을 쏘았다가 일이 틀어져서 숨기고 싶어 했다는 것을 증명할 수도 있습니다. 이 핵심 증거는 검찰과 피고 측 변호사 모두에게 유용한 증거가 되었습니다. 그럼 검찰은 여기서 총을 제외하고 그녀를 죽이려는 명백한 의도가 있었다는 증거를 제시해야 할 것입니다. 과연 어떤 증거를 제시할지 검찰의 최종 변론부터 보겠습니다.
Calculated shot placement, fired twice, two different directions, hid the murder weapon, and went to sleep. All of those suggest premeditation. But here are the 5 reasons why he is guilty of murder and the intent to kill. And what shows you that this trip from Maryville, the fact that he drove 25 miles alone in and of itself, would suggest that he had cool and deliberate purpose. He had every chance to rethink what he was going to do, and he declined. And so, the motive and the intent to kill. If you think about his statement, she was cruel to me. She said cruel things to me. She had finally broken it off with me. I knew this time was different. All of those things show you this was final for him. And all of the friends, the excessiveness, the manipulation, the control, all of those things add up to a complete and 100% motive to hurt her bad and kill her. All of those things. She was not going to not be with me, and she was not going to talk to me the way she was talking to me. And so he had that motive and that premeditation. And these are in order, I think, in order of the importance of why you can say there's an intent to kill here versus an intent to hurt. Shot placement. When you think about the fact at 3 o'clock in the morning, dressed in black, he's standing outside a 16-year-old girl's bedroom, and you think of all the places he could have placed that shot. All the things that he could have done.
I'll object.
Shoot up into the air, shoot in through the window, anywhere, but where you shot. Shot placement shows you an intent to kill.
그리고 이제 피고 측 변호사가 나와서 최후 변론을 시작했습니다. 그는 살인 혐의에 대해 합리적인 의심을 제기하려 했습니다.
So here is a text message that we have, screenshot, that we have from Alex McCarty, who's 36, and this is at 11:51 a.m. on November 21st, 2016. And what he says to Riley is, "Bro, are you doing okay?" Now this is
Ashley Donlin has notified Riley that something's wrong with Emma. This is after Riley has told Andrew Stanley that they found Emma hurt. This is after David Wise has been to Riley Gall's home. And this is Alex McCarty saying, bro, are you doing okay? I'm not, but thank you. On down, and I didn't put all the screenshots up there, they're in the exhibits, you have every right to them. What Alex says here at the bottom, dude, just tell me what's going on. Did she get shot? At this point, Riley, and the reality of his reckless conduct, his bizarre behavior has sunk in. And this is what he says. Alex, I really can't talk about any of it without breaking down. Just promise me you won't talk to them again. And we'll talk a little bit about all the stuff with the tampering with evidence a little bit later, but the purpose of this is to show, we believe, that Riley did not mean to hurt her and cause her death. Now, so, obviously, if you can see the person you're shooting, that will give you some intent.
이렇게 증인들의 증언, 증거, 최후 변론, 배심원단의 4시간의 심의 끝에 재판은 끝이 났고 결국 그들은 편결을 갖고 재판정으로 돌아왔습니다.
Gilder, in count one, the first defined offense, charging the defendant with first-degree murder. Did the jury reach a verdict?
Yes, we did.
What is your verdict?
Guilty.
배심원단은 라일리 콜에 대한 모든 혐의에 대해 유죄 판결을 내렸습니다. 1급 계획적 살인, 중범죄 살인, 스토킹, 증거인멸 등의 혐의였죠. 비록 엠마를 되살릴 수는 없었지만 그녀의 가족을 위한 정의가 실현되었다고 말할 수 있겠군요. 이후 열린 선고 재판에서 18세의 라일리는 가석방 가능성이 없는 51년의 징역형을 선고받았습니다. 만약 형기를 꽉 채우고 석방된다면 69세로 비교적 젊은 나이로 사회로 나올 수 있었겠지만 이후 추가적으로 열린 자잘한 혐의에 대한 재판에서도 모두 유죄 판결을 받아서 총 60년형을 채워야만 했습니다. 그래서 실제로 석방되는 나이는 78세로서 인생 막바지에 석방된다고 보시면 될 것 같군요. 그리고 이 과정에서 여러 번의 유죄 판결 파기 시도와 재심 요청을 했지만 테네시주 대법원을 포함한 모든 연방법원에서도 이를 기각하였습니다. 그럼 오늘 긴 사건 이야기는 여기서 마치도록 하죠. 오늘도 함께 해주신 여러분께 정말 감사드립니다. 그럼 항상 그렇듯 다음에 만날 때까지 모두 건강하셨으면 좋겠군요. 저는 톰슨이었습니다.